Everybody has it. Shabbos Parsha Shlach, Varch Chodesh Tmuz, Tavshin Chaf Aleph. Shlach Lcho Moishe v'Yasura says Knoan. Pirish Rashi Lcho L'Daitcha. Your opinion, your decision. Then moving to h'tshek li Yisayachim Moishe. So there had to be, it's understood that the Meraglim had to be connected to Moishe. Anoshim Moishe, people like him, Anshe Moishe. This is similar to that Moishe told Yeshua, B'char Lonu, Anoshim, that was to fight Amalek. So Lonu, Chazal say Anshe Moishe, people of Moishe. Here too, the implication of Shlach Lcho is the same meaning. So therefore, we have to understand the what's the reason that the Meraglim had to be dafki connected to Moishe Rabbi? That's question one. We also have to understand so the instruction is v'yasuru. So the word, as we'll see, lends itself to different meanings. The objective here is to spy out, as in Meraglim. They should spy out the land. What is meant by v'yasuru? The Medrash Rabbi Shirashirim B'tchilosai. The Medrash Rabbi Shirashirim in the beginning, Perek Aleph over there, ala Pasuk, the Medrash brings a Pasuk in Keheles. The Pasuk in Keheles says, "V'nasati es libi lidrash v'loser b'chachma." I will set my heart to inquire and to examine with wisdom. So the Medrash in Shirashirim says, "Mahu v'loser," what's meant by this v'loser in this Pasuk? He also is tired b'chachma, to be. A tourist is called a tire, but it means to see everything with chachma. And then Medrash brings al pasuk v'yasura said it's Canaan. So therefore, the Medrash is explaining the word, obviously v'yasura, not as a spy, but as to see, as to behind on, he spells out in the Gemara, Shemefarish v'yasura b'lashon tayir. Someone goes ahead and shows the way. A scout. A scout is not a spy. A scout shows you the way. A spy is a whole different thing. The Gemara says the lashon de tayir heilig. That's talking about a caravan, and if a tayir goes in front of them, and Rashi says, "A Pirish Rashi madalhem derech," shows them the way. A scout. So that's one taich. So there's the taich, in other words, that the pasuk means spies. There's the explanation, the translation that we see from the Medrash, similar to the Gemara. It means to scout, to seek out. He will seek out everything with wisdom. Davar acher, the Medrash brings the second pirush, which makes it three. Lidrash v'losur, to examine the losur. Losur lahaiser. The word losur lahaiser, to leave over, which means lahaisif, to add, to contribute something. So they're going to the land to contribute. So it comes out, there's three explanations of the word v'yasuru. Number one, laragil, to spy. That's the simple meaning of the pasuk. We're asking why use such a word that lends itself to two other purushim, lahayros derech, to scout, to show the way, and thirdly, v'lifel Yisrael, to effect an addition. Fi pirish hagimel, according to the third taichin v'yasura said it's Canaan host. What does it mean that they should add to? Meaning shemaragdim hustuchol lifel Yisrael be'eretz Canaan. Indeed, the Meraglim had to effect something, bring something to Eretz Canaan. Good morning, Emil. Oh, it's Mendel. I don't see. Good. The light's behind you. Okay, I see. We just started now the new Maamar. I didn't post it. You have it? Shlach, yeah. Page Reish Tes. If you have to save my modem. Shlach Tavshin Chaf Aleph. So what does it mean that they should add Al derech mashakos v'yistin eretz b'koili? The simple meaning of the pasuk, because Rashi teaches it, it's actually a negative thing, but it seems more literal now. Chassidus teaches it v'yistin eretz, the advantage of the earth b'koili is in everything. So with the teaching Chassidus is even less literal. V'yistin eretz, that we have to add something to the land. Non-literal meaning. We have to bring in addition to the union of eretz. What is it that a yid brings to the earth, to the world, that's not there before? So So the addition that we bring to the world is to the earth, to the world, is to the avodas haberurim, elevating the world. And the symbol to what the pasuk says. In Kehelas Yisin L'chacham and Asichlas, he says, I saw the advantage of light of a darkness, or rather the other way. Yeah, light of a darkness, like the advantage of Chachma of Sichlus. And Al-Teb explains that this brings, you need a mashal for that. You need a mashal to explain the advantage of light over darkness and bring a mashal, or rather to understand the advantage of foolishness over chachma and bring an advantage, an example from light and darkness doesn't require an example. But the pirush is the yisin ha-chachma, the bira sichlus dafke. We're not talking about chachma versus sichlus, we're talking about chachma that comes from sichlus. Now that kind of wisdom that comes as a result of having first being foolish is a greater wisdom than wisdom that begin with is straightforward. And similar sentiments conveyed in the next pasuk. Commissioner Kosovo Rabbi Shlomo says about Shlomo, describing his great wisdom, and he asked for wisdom, and Hashem granted it, and his wisdom was greater than all the Bnei Kedem, the dwellers of the east, that Avram had sent Yishmael with his teachings, which Yishmael corrupted. But here too the word is not just contrasting, but mei chachmas kol bnei kedem, that using their wisdom, nasa yisin chachmas shleimer. This added to Shleimer's wisdom. This kind of wisdom is only arrived at through refining and walking through the sichlus, the folly. As the Zoyar said, we don't mean folly as in nonsense. We don't mean literal foolishness, foolishness in the moral sense. But it's the chachma, it's the wisdom of the Lu'umah, the opposite of Kedusha, shenikras kamkim mishem sichlos, it's called foolish. Yitzhar is called an old foolish king. And he's very wise and wily. So through elevating this and refining it, not dismissing it, but engaging and refining it, so this adds to the chachma, like light, not over darkness, but comes from darkness. Zeo gamkein. Yeah. Morning. Yossi Zeo gamkein bira. Maybe I shouldn't welcome you late as you. You come on time. Zeo gamkein bira maimen ma minchen dichashechem bahapchan lenahira. So though this is brought in Tanya, the heavenly voice issues and said Those amongst you that you transform darkness to light, the time in the bitter taste the sweet. You welcome here. You are the Bnei Aliyah. Shedavke, this is the Tzaddik Gomer explains it in time. Shedavke, the Abiracheshech, it's only through Biracheshech, Magil Yisrael Oid, we reach not Stam Oid, but Yisrael Oid, Shosim Adreges Bnei Aliyah Shehem Motim. This is the level of the Bnei Aliyah. He mentions then in Zoya, quoted in Tanya, which they are few. Tzaddikim Stam are many, but Bnei Aliyah, that not just subjugate, but transform they are few. So this is what he just do now, summary. What's the summary of this ois? He brought 3 pirushim. First, he wrote 2 questions. The first question. Right, the pasuk says Shlach Lcho, implying they have to be Anshe Moishe. Why? Number 2, the second question is word v'yasuru. Spell out, say v'yaraglu. They should spy. What's v'yasuru? So then he brought the medrash, 2 other explanations. The word v'yasuru, the summary being, one of them is to what? See or scout out. Don't as someone goes ahead and shows the way. And the word tire, as a tourist goes around looking. That's the root of the word. It's not to spy, it's to see, to examine, or to show the way. And the third pirush, or in the Medrash, is the second pirush, it's to what? To add. Yasura as in lahoisir, to leave over something. So he zeroes, he examines now the third pirush. What's the meaning of the third to add? That means that the shlichus was, in fact, that the meraglim should add to the land. And what's that? That's in general the meaning of Avodas HaBerurim. And he brought all the examples of the virtue of Avodas HaBerurim, of godliness that is extracted dafke from where it's been previously concealed. And that's the of Yisrael Chacham and Asichlus. We don't mean foolishness, but we mean seichel, but elikus concealed there. That was the mile of Shleima's wisdom and so on. That's the mile of the Tzaddik Gomer. Summary meaning, summary simply that the third pirush means Avodas HaBerurim. That's the advantage that's brought to the earth, to the world. Let's continue this Indian. He's going to be Mazvi, the mile of Avodas HaBerurim. Ice base, yeah, we're good. Pirin Malas Haberurim to understand the mile of Avodas HaBerurim. We'll see how it works on a physical plane. Shanikra Adam, why we called Adam? It says in Kabbalah, Al Shem, Al Pinigla, because he came. The pasuk says because he came from the earth. Al Pi Kabbalah, it's the opposite. Of course, both things are true. Hashem Adam Mele Elyon, he's similar to the one above. Pashtas, one's referring to the guf, and one's referring to the neshama. At any rate, but the whole nefesh that's invested in the guf is similar to the way things work l'mayla, which is the whole point, that by understanding ourselves, understand that the way the Eibishter manifests, and therefore we can have a relationship. Right? You can't have a relationship with something you don't understand. You can believe in it, but you can't have a relationship. So Adam li is chibar nasham b'guf. So what do we see down here to explain Avodas HaBerurim? We see that a person's life comes al yedei achila. He's got to eat. Now, how does food work? There's a physical process, a bit of refinement that goes on in the digestive system. Usually it's spelled with a samach. The food is refined in the stomach, and the waste is rejected outside. In the choice, the nutrients become blood. The covered and is sent to the liver. But is all blood. And then there's another process of refinement, and that which is even further refined, further choice, literally, then the sense becomes incorporated in the heart, where the spirit of life resides. And that itself, that's drawn from the brain to the heart. But the life force takes hold in the blood. Enters, it's drawn from the brain, the life force, to the heart. And what keeps it there and able to pervade the body is the blood. That's why we can't eat the blood, even if a kosher animal. That's why the dam can't be. The dam is the soul, a carrier of life. And even when the animal is dead, the signature of the animal's life is imprinted indelibly on the blood. And that's why even if a kosher animal, the blood is not kosher. So the whole process described here was a process of ascending elevation, refinement, extraction, and rejection of the inferior of the waste. So what happens physically through eating? The waste is rejected outside, expelled. And the refined part of the food is sent to the heart and to the liver. And the net result is that the chayas becomes drawn and attached to the body. The blood is now refined that it can be the carrier of the life of the chayas. So that's where these bagashmi is. So now, how does it translate to ruchnis? So likewise, now the ruchnis that drawing down life is through avidas atfila. Showing in habira v'machama, that's the whole process of war, refinement. Like it says, Nam bread upon char b'leichel is eaten because of, through the sword. So there's a battle to refine, to engage the world and elevate it. Like she says in Shir Hashirim, Achalti yadi im dvoshi. The simple meaning is, I ate the cane of the sugar with the sugar. Simple pshat, and the excitement for you, not only the sugar, but I wasn't careful to extract it from the cane and consume the cane as well. The word yari comes from the word forest. Yar is a forest. So yari, so that's begashmis. Baruchni is yari, but the cane, the forest, the tree. Koyal malachim goes on malachim. Krishakasa, like we say in Tilim, we say Friday night. Oz yirananu. Call out, say, there, all the trees of the forest will sing. And in Pashtus, it means that the malachim, the shadish, the muzzle of the trees. So what's this in Avedis Atfila? Let's get the flow. She says, Achalti yari im dvoshi. I ate the cane together with the honey. So we said this goes on malachim. We'll soon see what the honey means. So what does this mean? Tavedes atfila. So v'inyan ha'izbonish v'tchilas birchas kriyishma, that the Yid is mizbayin in the beginning of kriyishma, which is all to lead to the v'afta. So what's it mizbayin in bitla malachim delikus? The bitla of the malachim delikus, which explains why these brachas, what do they have to do with Shema? And where is the Mechlal, the bracha for the Shema? It's a mitzvah. So say the Raisa to read the Shema. There should be a bracha, like you say, and you put on film. But these are the brachas because the whole inyan of Krishma is the inyan of Avos Hashem, which necessitates his bonus. And his bonus, what is the bitla malachim? What do we have to do with malachim? Why are we affected by the Avodah, the Malachim, the Chais, the Saf, and the Fan? HaKadosh explains. What is he thinking about? What is he meditating on? That even the highest malachim, shemasrofim, shemamoldim, be'elam abriya, serofim, be'elam abriya. As we learned in previous time, in mitzad asagos, shemasigim maflos elikus, because they understand the wonder of godliness. The wonder means totally beyond mitzius, creation, and they understand that it is but mitzius, and this causes them to completely dissolve. And they're completely dissolved. The whole mitzius surrendered to elikus. That's what they call tzarafim. Actually, tzarafim, like gamri basagos, they can burnt, consumed in their grasp. That's what they call tzarafim. Then he's born and is bebitla malachim tzarafim veifanim. So he's misborn, and the bitla of this tzarafim veifanim is a lower level which hasn't gone to here. It's a lower level, but they reach higher because they don't have asaga. So why? So that's very nice for the malachim. Why we misborn in the avodah the malachim? We're not malachim. So he answers, Payel is gam b'nefesh habamis. This Payel is also on the person shegam hu yeh inducing a bittul by him. Why? Derech Moishe b'melech basav adam, like a physical king. Shegam ish hamoini, even a person of the masses, a simple fella, there's a term for it in English. Sheli yosei poshut b'yosei, so the simple fella. Part of this is not no shaykhs to the palace. No, what's the term? The communists have a term for such a fellow. No, okay. So, what? Pleb could be, yeah. So ein the shaykh sheyasik gedulas hamelech v'spol. There's no shaykhs that he should understand the greatness of the king and be nispol. They put in Yiddish the words that Rabbi used in the Maimer as zolim denemen, which implies denemen means it should penetrate him. In other words, you can talk to him to understand. He's not a fool, but he's in that the world's completely not his world, and it's the king's. It doesn't affect him. If it ain't against the sense of grasping in the greatness. It's a fantasy. It's a different world. There's no shaykhs there. There's no grasp. Can't relate to it at all. Nonetheless, even such a fella, that's what brings us in Tanya's. When he sees great princes and honorable people and they're bowing down to the king, and the whole gufa he sees their bitl as a pearl bitl gam bishamin. So this pearl is a bitl even in the pleb, as you describe him, the simple fellow who's part of the general population. So this also like is there is a gam nefesh habam shagam misad atzmei. Ein lishon musik belikus klal nefesh habam. What do we know about likus? Can talk about it, say the words, but hasoge. When he thinks about, appreciates what a malach is, and the bitl of the malach. And there's a pearl gamolav, so by extension, the pearl's on him. That's one reason why we're misbeinen and why Birchas Krishma is the whole avodah of the Srafim and the Ifanim. Moreover, the source of Nefesh Habamis is from the waist, literally. The Shmorim is the wine. The settles, the dregs, another word for the dregs of the wine, the leftover. So the Nefesh Habamis comes from the Shemari Yafanim. You know the story. The bitch of the Masim that came to America. Another story. Bitch of Masim was in the end he was burnt alive by the Nazis. But he was sent here Came to America. There's films of him in the 30s. Shadar raising money for the Temchatmim, the Frierdiker Rebbe. So he came to America. He wrote back his impressions of America. And one of the things he writes there that Eichem kakletn b'chol yom. They eat meat every day. We saw such a thing. Meat was Yontif, Shabbos maybe. And then we saw that he was in New York, the skyscrapers. So his response was, like the Malachim did a big job. It's like a diarrhea. It's a waste of the Ifanim. Is Elam Hazeh. So you see here they did a big. That's how he was impressed of the big skyscrapers. Adarab. So the point is, the Nefesh Habamis comes from there. So therefore, we tell ourselves, Nefesh Habamis, you yourself, you come from the Malachim. That's where you come from. Okay, it's down the road. And your source is bottle. So that's really who you are. I'm not asking you to become somebody else, imitate the angels. Okay. You're not an angel, but bemis, you come from them. So that's really who I am. We're not asking ourselves to become something we're not. The bittul is natural. The pnimius, the bittul is natural because we come from the malachim, the body, the shmari efanim. So he says strong words here. He said, "Pearl bittul gam boy." His pearls are bittul even in Nefesh Habamis. On the contrary, knowing that his sherish is the malachim, pearl chizuk yoseh ba bittul Nefesh Habamis. This pearl is a greater chizuk than the first bittul. The first bittul is he sees, he doesn't understand the likus. We don't understand the likus. We know this is lofty creatures, and we misbring it in with their nature and their bottle to likus, so induces a bittul. But this bittul is a much more personal one because it's his own shirish. So let's just conclude here. Okay, we'll continue this tomorrow because he explains the sugar cane and the sugar. Who's the cane and who's the sugar? So we'll continue that tomorrow. I was asked we should finish 5:2. So we'll say this story now, which is a little bit long. I told you it's a special story. And it is as follows.